when setting a target for 2025, when starting to really wrap your mind around what you want, what I want you to pay attention to in particular is not what do I think I can get. Question is, what am I afraid of? Don't use 2024 to set your vision for 2025. I can't tell you the number of clients that we work with that start their dream year, their next 12 months by first looking at this year, looking at this year's numbers, looking at this year's performance, this year's growth, this year's goals. And I get it. I'm going to challenge you not to do that. And I'm going to challenge you because I do get how convenient it is, but it kills the dream. It kills the vision. It's not a vision anymore. All you're doing is upcycling what you have. It doesn't require vision to do that. You can just look, move the goalpost, and move on. And I get it, but it's a cop-out. Instead, what I think is important you do is you completely segregate and you really find time and space to be alone. So maybe that means go to the woods and rent a cabin. Maybe that means invite no one to your basement for a weekend and just work there. Maybe that means go to your office on a Saturday when no one's in the office anyway. Find time, right? Find time. And just ask the question, what do you want? The simplest part about building vision is that you're answering a big question. What do you want? And my guess is you're having a hard time articulating that because you've never actually thought about it. This is the point of the exercise. If you are sitting somewhere and you're like, man, what do I want? Well, no one's ever asked me that. And more than likely, no one has. It's probably not going to be your spouse, at least not directly. Certainly not about your career directly. More than likely, you listening, or you're an entrepreneur, so you probably are fighting for more than just you in your life. I know I am, right? You're carrying more people than just yourself. We don't often create the space to ask, what do you want? And if you can create the space, what you might find is there's actually incredibly simple, right in front of you answers. Something like, I want to pick up my daughter from school, or I would love to run marathons, or I would love to go see my friends more in a year. I would kill to be able to make quality time easier during the week. I'd love to play soccer again. I don't know what it is for you, but I bet you it's there. And in just thinking about what do I want? You might find a new answer that you didn't find in 2024. My point, again, is that maybe the best part of the year never happened for you. So why would you not have to dream it this time? Maybe it's time to dream. So don't use 2024. Don't look at 2024 first. I'm not saying don't go back because I think that's important. You can look at it, but instead of starting there, go be creative. Think of shit that you want in a year. Maybe you want to triple your salary. Okay, fine. Maybe you want to, double revenue. Maybe you want to see your parents more often. Maybe you want to have dinner at home as a family. I don't know what it is for you, but there's something that requires a bit of clarity. And you have to ask the question, what do I want? Without any context to anything else. So tip number 1, don't look at 2024. Tip number 2, and I think the magic of tip number 2 is written in the simplicity of this statement. Limit your goals, please, until you have mastered the art of building new habits. If you are not a master of building new habits, then don't set a lot of goals. When you're really good at building new habits, and building a habit, in my opinion, is a skill. There's no accident about it. It doesn't take time. It takes discipline. So if you haven't mastered that yet, then let's start with just a few goals. Because I see some of you have 57 goals and are curious as to why you don't hit 57. It's hard to fragment your energy. why I think building habits is a skill is that once you start to really understand how to do it for yourself, there's something magic that happens, because then you can start selecting how fast you want to build habits. And it doesn't take nearly as much bandwidth, right? For me to add a new habit to my morning routine is not crazy difficult because I already have a morning routine that's incredibly consistent. That's what makes it easy to add. So it's like momentum, right? If you're not there, I would encourage you to get there. Work on it. Think about it. Design it. Map it. I don't know. But it's important to pay attention to like where you are on that totem pole, because it will change your life if you can figure that out. Let's go to the other side of the fence though. Not having too many goals. So there's this principle in setting goals that I love in personal development. And look, I'm in personal development, so it's kind of hard for me to talk shit about it, but I'm about to. Personal development does not feed you good information about goals. It feeds you ambitious, like nuggets that lack the actual implementation advice. So people will say 10x your goals fucking all the time. Build these big things, like do these things. Just aim for aim for the stars, and you'll even if you aim for the moon, and if you miss, you'll still hit the stars. And I think that's actually fundamentally false, because the human experience and the way our minds work rely on feedback loops. They rely on feedback loops. And your feedback loop requires you to have a positive relationship with your goals. If you don't have a positive relationship with your goals, you need a better feedback loop. But here's the thing. To do the feedback, if you're on audio, you can't see me like swirling my fingers around. If you don't have a positive feedback loop, it is only activated in motion. So if you say, I don't hit my goals, or like I keep missing my goals, or like I never get enough done, or like setting goals isn't enough, or, you know, it's 4 is too few, whatever it is, your feedback loop has told you that. And if you don't have a positive feedback loop, that's the first place to begin. So we set smaller goals and build a positive relationship and our trust in our goals. Again, personal development does not tell you about implementation. If you set the goals too high and you don't make it, and the next year you set it and you don't make it, it only takes a couple of years before you're the cat in the gym in January, but you're not the cat in the gym in February. It's not long before that pattern sets in. That's who I am. And even if you're mega successful, there are still inconsistencies based on your feedback loop. I see it over and over and over. I can't make that shift. I can't make that change. I don't want to do that this year. Whatever is still a feedback loop mechanism. We look for evidence about our possibilities. And when we set too many goals, I think what happens is we naturally look at our percent failure. Goals are inverted as far as our attention goes. If you're a goal setter and you're listening to this podcast, I guarantee you're this way. You are probably easier and faster to tell me where you're failing in your goals than where you're crushing it. Am I right or am I right? I know you because I know me. And I'm faster to measure the goals that I don't track well to than the goals I do. So the reason we track few is so that we can have a higher concentration of progress. The less goals you have, the easier it is to have a higher concentration of progress. So part of this advocacy, and again, based on all the errors that I see in people building big visions, building big businesses, taking their company from $10 to $25 million, taking their organization, their net worth from like 2 million to 8 million, like it in that kind of phase, there's all these pressures to stay focused. Well, how do you stay focused? You don't have a million goals. So I see over and over and over that like the aggregate weighing is, I'll tell you about all the goals I'm not hitting. And if we can get the average weight, the average like percentage complete of your dream, your vision, your future, what will happen is you'll start to feel like you're making progress again. But if that average starts to go down because you don't make progress, your inner villain is going to tell you all kinds of stories. I'll save that for another conversation, but you probably understand what I'm saying. Tip number 2, don't set too many goals. I think until you're good at goal setting, there should be, we do everything in 4 pillars: career, circle, time, and health. So I'm going to go back to those all the time. If you listen to this before, you hear it all the time. These are the 4: career, circle, time, health. 2 per category. Set your goals there. If that's like where you are. If you're used to setting that bandwidth and you need more, cool, do more. But until you're hitting like big goals, I don't mean like set baby goals. I'm talking about like if you're hitting big goals in 4 categories, 2 goals in 4 categories. So you're hitting 8 big goals a year. That's a win. If you're used to that, cool, do 16. Great. I don't care. I'm just giving you the advice to like not set more than you're used to crushing and make them big enough that they're still scary. Here's tip number 3. I have to give you a little bit of backstory to this. So all of our work around vision is essentially under one premise, that if you have a vision is not for motivation. It's for criteria. It actually dictates what an action is when you have choice. So if I say I want to be really fit and I want to go to the gym 5 times a week and I want to, really, really put time and effort into my physique. Well, that dictates certain choices, right? That criteria, that vision tells me what choices I need to make in certain pockets of my life where I might normally have option, right? What I eat when I go out, what time I get up in the morning, whether or not I sign up for a personal trainer. Like there's a lot of pieces of my life that go there. And so on a frequent basis, right? Assume that this is the vision. I have to regularly check in with that vision. I have to make sure that I'm making choices aligned with that future. Comfortable or not, that doesn't matter. Just matters, am I making choices to get me there? So, okay, so you can probably track that. The thing that makes it interesting, because I'm talking about this all the time, is that if your vision is not clear, your choice is not clear, right? These are the dialogues that we have all the time. Hey, tell me your future. Let's build it together. Let's co-create it. And then let's work backwards. But if it's not clear, then your choice is not clear. So here is tip number 3. When setting a target for 2025, when starting to like really wrap your mind around what you want, tip number 1, ask like, what do you want? Not based on 2024. Set few goals. But when you're really asking for it, what I want you to pay attention to in particular is not what do I think I can get? Question is, what am I afraid of? A friend of mine recently said something to me during an acupuncture session. He said, what you want and what you avoid are usually in the same place. And I've been really awestruck by this comment for a long time because in a lot of ways, what this means is look for your fear, right? Look for the thing that you say you can't do or say that it's impossible or say that it's really difficult. So tip number 3, look for your fear when you're setting your 2024 goals. So asking what do you want? Yes. Then also ask where your fear is, because that's probably where your really, really, really important thing is. Whether that's a big vacation, maybe it's having a kid, maybe it's, stepping a relationship up. Maybe it's quitting your job and building your business up. Like your W-2 is great and it's safe, but like you're bored. Maybe you have a business and it's like you're ready to hire your replacement. I don't know what that is for you listening right now. I want to believe that you know what that is. I've been proven otherwise by all of our clients. But if you know some of those things, then great. Look for the thing that you're terrified of. It's where all the magic will be. Because I find that all of my, like the things that matter make me confront me. It's like someone has to look in the mirror here. Who is it? And it's always me, right? This is me learning how to get out of my own way. Because every time I look at what I'm afraid of, I'm also like, dang, and that is the most meaningful thing. That is what I want. And it forces such a beautiful idea. And that's that 2025 could be the year that I confront me. Wow. But I have to look for where the fear is, right? I have to look at like, where am I not good? Where am I not great? Where am I not put together? Where am I not decided? Where am I like, I just have to ask really good questions. And I get that this is a bit heady, but it doesn't have to be, right? It actually can be very, very concrete. So you probably know what you're afraid of. Maybe you're like, I'm going to publish a book, but I'm going to do it in 3 years, in 5 years. Zoom out, right? Like, cause what we do is we mask our fear by adding time. So we say, I'll do that when I retire. I'll do that when I'm like, no, you're just afraid to do it now. I'll go hike Everest. Well, I don't know how to do it now. Okay. So there's your fear. You don't know how to do it. Here it is. So it's there. It's there. It's already there. My job is just to help people find it faster, but like you can get there and I know you can. When you start to look for your fear, when you start to actually observe it and pay attention to it, it gives you really good clues. Like, man, they're good clues for where to go. So tip number 3 is ultimately, I want you to really pay attention to what you're afraid of saying that you would do this year. Like, I mean, we can ask some hypothetical questions to get you unstuck, right? This was your last year. What would you do? You knew this was your last year alive. What would you do? Okay. Like maybe that gets some emotion going, right? Maybe not. If you knew that in a year, anything that you set out to do, you would succeed at, what would you do? Another great, right? Just kind of like a creative question to ask around. If I wired you $3 million into your bank account tomorrow and said you can't work in the industry that you've been working or owning a business in for a year, and you, like, what do you do? What would you wake up and want to do? These questions just get us thinking a little bit. So I encourage you to spend some time with them, but all we're looking for is like use fear as a positive indicator, right? It again, it's sort of like lights our way. It's like a lantern for us. Really looking at what we want, because nothing that you really, really, really want at a core is going to be free or easy, because it's not who we are. That's not what entrepreneurship is about. Okay. So 3 tips for your 2025 vision. Those are just errors that I see more than not. But I'd love to know where you're stuck with your vision. I'd love to know where you're stuck with the idea of vision. And going into the next couple of weeks, I'd love for you to just take 2 minutes. Find me on Instagram, hit follow, send me a note, send me a comment. I'd love to know what you want to know about vision. I'd love to know where you're stuck about vision, because this is my conversation like 90 times a day. And I love it, but I realize that I'm having too many of these I think they're value driven conversations, right? They're value driven because we're trying to solve vision problems. And I think it's really difficult to have vision, to have clarity in a vision, to communicate a vision. And this is starting to become a real passion of mine. And I'd like to know where you need help. I'd like to know what you want to know, what you don't want to know, and would love for you to tell me that. So if you have a moment, jump on any social media platform, search for my name, Aaron Velke, send me a note and tell me what you want to learn about vision, because this conversation is going to happen more and more and more. I'm doubling, tripling down on vision going into 2025. We've changed some of our programming. We've changed our retreats. We've got a retreat coming up called the Vision Summit. Check out the website, aaronvelke.com for that. Lots of really cool things coming. The Vision Summit's actually going to be dope, because we're going to talk about vision like this and help you build out your entire year roadmap, plus breath work with a great friend named Ryan Kennedy, an amazing health leader who has regularly proven that data and information can positively impact a person's health to a tremendous degree. Not that is new news to anybody, but he's like actually doing it hands-on with people. It's amazing. It's remarkable. So He and I are going to be putting together the Vision Summit. Check it out on the website. Again, go to aaronvelke.com. AARON, V as in vision, ELKY, for those of you that are new here. I appreciate you being here. I hope that the next couple of weeks as we round out the year is productive. Do not quit on what you want. It's a great time to take advantage of everyone that sort of hits snooze. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next one of these episodes. We're going to dig into vision. We're going to dig into how to build one. I'm going to help you. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to coach you because that's what I do. And I can't wait to go down this rabbit hole as we talk more and more about your vision, what you want to create, what's going to light you up, and how you can go radiate that light to other people. 2025 is a big year, and it has already started. Talk soon. And remember, get out of your own way.